Good afternoon, happy stampers. Welcome to my happy stamping studio. My name is Judi Anderson from judistamps.com, and I'd like to welcome all of my live viewers as well as those of you watching on replay. I am sorry, I have to turn my phone down. We don't want it ringing during this live, do we? There we go. Welcome. Please say hello as you jump in and let me know if you're watching on replay by making a comment replay and where you're coming from. I'd love to see where my viewers come from. And, excuse me, right before I came on, my voice started to rattle a little bit. I took a drink of water, but I guess it wasn't enough. So, we're going to be making a fun Halloween treat box today using the Tricks and Treats bundle. Now, this is a bundle of stamps and die cuts, and we are going to be using both today. And we're going to be making the treat box that comes in the dies, which is so much fun. How many of you like making treat boxes for your friends and neighbors and possibly your family members also? I love making treat boxes and having them here to fill when people come and visit us, just as an extra little surprise. And we can do this year round, not only during the holidays. So what do you say? We're going to get started. Okay, let's flip you around. There we go. So, okay. Like I said, the Tricks and Treats stamp set. This is a stamp of 12 set of stamps. This is one of my masks that I've been using in my classes lately. I keep them attached to the stamp so I don't have to make another one. And this is such an adorable set that you can use for just about anything. Treat boxes, cards, note cards, scrapbook pages. If you do those little holiday samplers, this is a cute one for that also. Just for all your Halloween needs. And it's a great set to mix with stamp sets that you currently have. Here are the dies. Now I'm going to take these out and hope they don't fall all over because I have not put a magnetic strip in these yet. And this is a set of 15 different dies. Now, quite a few of them cut the images in the stamps, coordinating stamps, and then we have several that are extra. I love this candy corn. I've been using that one a lot. We're going to be using the Frankenstein today and this Boo. Like I said, I'm also using this treat box. You need to cut 2 of them. I've already cut those out. And then here you can see a ghost. And then we're going to use this edgelet. And I'm going to tell you, I love this edgelet because when you cut it, it doesn't cut this edge. It only cuts one edge, so you can make it as thick or thin as you want. You can make grass. We're actually going to do something a little bit different with it today. I'm going to take my jacket off. It's cool in here, but once I get my lights on, sometimes it warms up a little bit. And then we're also going to be using the Stylish Shapes dies. I'm needing some smaller circles. And yes, these have stitches on them, but that's okay. And we're going to use the 2 smallest of the Stylish Shapes dies. Okay, and let's put that to the side. I am also using, and oh my gosh, I looked this up before I came on, and I can't remember what the name of this label is. But it's found in the annual catalog. Let me grab my catalog. I literally just looked it up. And that's one reason why I always label my punches, because I can never remember. This mind is forgetful lately. It is the Lasting Label Punch. And we're going to be using that today. And some of the Orchid Opulence metallic ribbon. And our inks are going to be Memento and Parakeet Party. Now, I have a bunch of different, just a whole mirage of pieces of paper today. And a lot of them are scraps. Here is the treat box, and we're going to be doing something with that. We are going to also be making a cute little gift tag for this gift box. And so I have Orchid Opulence because I wanted to bring a little bit of purple in this. And this is kind of a bluish purple. And I have cut this at 5.5. So I need to score it at 2 3/4. So it is in half. And it is 5.5 by 2.5. So we've scored that. Put that to the side. I do have a piece of basic white, and I want to pick it out before I start cutting all these pieces. And this is going to go on the inside. So we have our gift tag there. Then I have some pieces here. I'm trying to remember what they're all for. Some of them are for eyes and eyeballs. So we need to cut 2 of the larger size, and we need to cut 2 white and 1 of the parakeet party. And this has a score line in it. It's just a scrap piece. I'm just going to go ahead and fold that over and hope, yes, I can cut 2 at one time. So we need 2 of the basic white. We need 2 of the basic black of the smallest. And we need 1 of the parakeet party. So we're going to start with those pieces because we're going to do our tag first. I'm going to get my mini machine out. And let's get our number 1 plate. Let's move this up here. Our number 2 plate. And remember, when we put these on here, we want to stair step them. Let's stair step it there. I'm going to go ahead and put my basic black in here with that piece. I'm going to take my basic white and put that in here. Hold that down. Just put this right. Okay, we may be doing one at a time, and that is fine. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the white and the parakeet party at the same time because they will lay flat. Put these on here just like that. Lay this on, push it down and through. So like I said, I love making little treat boxes, and I'll have them just sitting here ready in case the grandkids come by, in case friends come by. There we go. So we only need 1 of the parakeet party, like I said. Take these off. We need 2 of the basic white, and I just flip it a little bit like that, and then we need 2 of the basic black. So I'm going to cut 1 of each of those. Another one out. Make sure we're stair stepped. Pull it out a little bit so I can just get this under there and roll it through. Okay. Now I'm going to show you some things to do to your little treat boxes and your little characters to bring them up a notch. Okay, we're going to put these to the side. You don't need this white, but I do need my basic black strips. And what I'm going to do with those, I've got 2 of them that measure, I think about 1 inch. And I'm going to cut both of these at the same time. And you know how I was saying I like that it doesn't cut on both edges? So I can make these about the same size. So if these weren't the same width, I could still do this. I would just run this along the narrowest strip. I'm going to put those on. I'm going to cut them at the same time. Now remember, I always say you want to put this in an angle. So I'm going to angle it from one side of my paper to the other. And I'm going to run these right along the edge so I know it's straight. Okay, I've got that in there. Let's get our top. And now I don't, these are just scraps, but the length that I'm going to want them is the length of, or the width of one of those treat boxes less the 1/2 inch tab on the one side. I'm going to show you that. So I'm thinking I can just do this once because I know it's less than 5.5. So I'm going to take this off and see how I have that rigid. Now what I want to do is I want to take this before I separate them, and I want to line it up to this line here and just make sure it goes all the way across. And it does, so we're okay. I'm going to trim it, and that's exactly what I want. So except for our Frankenstein, we are done with our mini cut and emboss machine for just a little bit. Got most of our cutting done. Now we're going to grab our piece of basic white. I just thought of something else that I need to stamp or to cut out. So I want to get, oh, I don't have my foam mat here, so I'm just going to get my silicone mat. I want to get the Frankenstein, the 2 images. So we have his face, background, and then we have the details of his face. So we need 2 blocks. Now I'm gonna show you a project that we did in my Halloween class, and instead of stamping the background of the face, we just cut it out of cardstock. Now while I do like that, I like the way the black stamps on the white colored with the ink a little bit better than I do the colored cardstock, just because sometimes the black does not get thick enough, and we found that we had to stamp it twice. So we're just going to put this down there and press and make sure we get it good because it's a big solid image. Okay, there we go. Love it. Now you're going to notice that it may look like it is a little bubbly, and that is because I really stamped hard on my pad because I wanted that look, because Frankenstein is kind of a weird looking fellow, you know, strange. So we're going to close that up and let's get our details. Now I'm just going to stamp this in Memento Black, and I want to get it good and inked because I want that really dark. Now you could use, if you have the Stamparatus before it went away, you could use the Stamparatus to stamp it twice. Okay, so we're going to just line this up right over, and you may get a little bit of my head in here. Got a little bit of a shadow, so I'm hoping I got it on there right. You know, with our photopolymer, it's easier to line those stamps up, isn't it? Okay, there we go. Now, it didn't quite fill in there. So what I can do is I can take either my marker, but I noticed I didn't get my new basic black marker. I'm just going to take my blender pen, and I'm just going to blend this really, really darker than the rest of the stamped image. And that will kind of fill it in if you have any issues. But once again, if you want, you could stamp over a second time. By all means, I'm just sharpening that just a little bit. I didn't like quite the way it's stamped. It was perfectly fine like it was, but sometimes I kind of get that way. Okay, so now we have our Frankie is all done here. So we are going to grab our cut and emboss machine again, and let's get our coordinating die. Let's get this guy on here. and get this on here. Just line it up. There we go. Go ahead and cut it. Don't you just love when you have the dies and you can easily cut images out with the dies? You know, some people say, oh, I wish it was a punch instead. Well, you know how many punches you would need for this one set? It wouldn't be very economical. This is much more economical for you. Okay, so I have one more die that I want to cut out. And actually, it'll fit right on the bottom here, and it's Boo. And I'm just going to do it out of basic white. Let's just cut that real quick. Okay. There we go. And we are done die cutting, I believe. Okay, like I said, we're going to work on our tag first. So the first thing I want to do is I want to add a little bit of color to my Boo. So I'm going to grab my Parakeet Party. And I'm grabbing my my mini blending brush. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of color around the edges. Not much, just a little bit. Now, if you had a sponge dauber, you could do it with a sponge dauber or a sponge also. I just love the softness of this brush. So there we go. I know the color is so light, you probably can't see it much. Let me see if I can darken it just in some spots so you can see it. There we go. Okay. Then we have our Frankenstein. And I don't like all the white lines around him, so I am actually going to use my blending brush and take some of that color around the edge. And I'm even going all the way around. It doesn't bother me that it's green by the black, but that takes that away. And it kind of gives him some personality. Just gonna give him a little bit more around his ears and his jawline. And see how that raises him to just a tad bit, little bit layer. Okay, so we've got him done. We are going to grab, need to clean my stamps off so that I can grab my Trick or Treat and put that on the inside. And we are going to be using Parakeet Party. When possible, I do like to stick to a couple colors. Okay, so I do the Trick or Treat. Well, let's try that again. 2 sides to every paper. There we go. Our Trick or Treat. Let's clean off those stamps. Now, if you find that when you're cleaning your stamps, your chamois doesn't get into those ridges, just give a spritz of the cleaner. It'll get down there, and then when you wipe, it wipes it away. So easy. You know what? For 23 years, I've been telling my husband that this is the cheapest washer and dryer he's ever bought me. Okay, now I am going to take and put a couple of ghosts on here. Now, so we're going to add we're going to add a color. I am going to get the Orchid Opulence. Orchid Opulence is an old color from years ago. Orchid Oasis. And we're just going to put a couple cute little ghosts flying in to say trick or treat. Have that one going down a little bit. Oops! Didn't quite get him down all the way. See if I can do it. Okay. Let me grab that blender pen again. And we're just going to blend that just a little bit. And look how that little goober kind of goes away. There we go. Clean it off. That's how you clean the tip, so when you go to use it again, it's not orchid in there. Okay, let's put this all to the side. And for the inside. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend and an extra day off for the kitties. Okay, we're going to put our Frankenstein on the front. And you know what? I think I'm going to use dimensionals to add him on there. So let me just grab them. Oh, I need to remember to fill up my regular dimensionals. I only have my minis out here. And let me get my take your pick tool. It makes it so much easier. So as you guys know, I was in Orlando. I got back Sunday. The weather was it was nice and warm there, but the days that I could go outside, I went in early to meet up with some other demonstrators to talk a little bit of business and then have a little bit of fun at night. So there were 2 days that we could actually sit out by the pool. It rained both those days. The one day it got cloudy in the afternoon, and the second day it actually rained most of the afternoon. And I found that this time of year, that's pretty much what happens. It gets cloudy. I'm going to put him at an angle. And we are just going to attach our boo right to the paper. So when I stayed an extra day, I thought the event went through Saturday, and it didn't. So I came home Sunday, and I was able to sit outside for a little bit on Saturday. So I was able to enjoy that nice warm weather while those back at home had the cold front that came in. Okay, I'm just using one of our old handheld punches to put a hole in here for my tag. Oops, trying to get it to go through. Oh, it's full. Helps if you empty it out. Empty those chads out. Let's get this again. There we go. Okay, so our tag is done, and now we're going to put our treat bag together. So for our treat bag, and this should go pretty quick here, I'm just going to need my pieces and some tear and tape, and I am going to crease on all the scored lines, and I'm going to take my bone folder and crease them well because we want these nice and crisp so they fold nice for the box. Okay, and here they have made making a box go so fast. I mean, you could do these out of designer series paper. You wouldn't have to decorate it like I'm doing. You could just add a flat gift tag to it or name tag to it. These would be cute at a table setting and even for your upcoming holiday. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to keep these creased on these fold lines. And I am going to grab my Parakeet Party ink pad, my blending brush, and just like we did around that Frankenstein, I am just going to brush around these edges. Okay, kind of do it at a little bit of an angle there. And you wouldn't have to do the back. Whoops, got that a little bit heavy there. That's okay. Just kind of work it in. Okay, now you wouldn't have to do the back, but I don't know which one's the back yet. And you'll see what I mean about that. So let's go ahead. I could even lay these down and just brush it like this, which goes a little bit quicker, but I wanted to show you both ways. I am going to go around the top also. I know we're going to be putting that black strip up there. And I am going to bring that down a little bit. Okay, in addition to that, this parakeet party circle is going to be his eyelids. And I am going to try to cut it in half. It doesn't matter if it's exact or not. And I want his eyelids to have a little bit of color on them also. So I'm going to be shading around the top. And I'm not going all the way down. I am just going along the edge. This just adds a little bit of extra to your project, which I like. I always, when I did my punch out characters, I always did sponging on them to give them their own character. Okay, so we have that. We're going to put our box together. Okay, so we're going to unfold it on all the score lines. Okay, now you're going to know that this is going to line up over this, but you can just say, oh my gosh, Judy, this is plain here. You can leave it plain. I personally like to add just a little bit of color, just so it's not so stark compared to the front. Go along here also. But I wanted to show you that before I did it. The option is totally up to you. Like I say, they're your projects. You do you. Okay, so we're going to need some tear and tape. So you could also use liquid glue for this, but I have I find that some of you are very heavy with the liquid glue. So I'm going to grab my silicone mat over here. And let's get this tear and tape on here. You don't have to go all the way to the top, but I like to do it all the way, almost all the way up to that score line. And the reason being is you want that piece that's adhered to this to be adhered down. Okay? So you're going to notice that your tabs are in the same direction when you cut them out. It's supposed to be like that, so don't panic. I'm going to put this down here. Let's get this on here. Okay, so you saw me rubbing that. What I do, a little trick, is I rub my tear and tape. It just makes that cover come off, that protective coating come off a little bit easier. But I'm going to take this one off first. It doesn't matter which one. And I'm going to line this up right here, lining the bottom up and the top right on that score, just so you can just see that score line. Okay, and then rub it. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to do the same with this one, except this time we're going to fold it here. We're going to remove this, and then it should line up if everything went all right, perfectly there. Okay, and there's your box. We're not going to adhere the bottom quite yet. Now, remember this particular box, I normally don't like the front, this seam, open seam or edge facing the front. I like folded. So I choose the better one of the two. And I like this one a little bit better. So that is going to be the front of our box. I'm going to give this just another little crease just to reinforce that. Okay, so we are going to adhere the hair. And I am going to go and I want to score this. just so I have a fold. So we're gonna, I want it to go, oh, about a 1/2 inch around the corner. I'm going to score it. Okay. So we're going to place that over that line. Okay, and then we're going to bring it over here, and I want to hold it flat, continue to hold it flat, and fold it. Okay, so on that fold line then, I'm going to score it. I'll line that up and score it. Hi, Marilyn, how are you? Oh, you're in a surgical facility. She's having cataract surgery. Oh, thank you. Yes, I had some people requesting that I do closed captioning, so I added it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to trim this right at the edge of that last little diamond there, okay? So now I'm going to take this piece because that was the front, and this piece is going to go from the around the back, and I want to actually attach the back first. Just going to make sure that this goes over, so I can go ahead and I am going to score this time, I believe, at 1 inch. I want to make, because this is, oh, let me see how wide that is. That is actually 1 inch and 1/8. So I just want to make sure it overlaps this. So I know if I do it 1 inch, I should be okay. Okay, so this time I'm going to go ahead and fold that over, put it here, and do the same as I did before, and fold that on the score line. Then I want to score it. And you say, well, why are you folding and scoring? Well, the reason for that is I want to make sure that I have a nice crisp fold, but I want to know where to put that crease at. Okay, so now you have a choice here. You have a choice to, let me see where this falls, because I know this one goes almost all the way. So I'm going to cut it also right there. I know I've got plenty of room for this liquid glue. So I am actually going to use, make sure this is right. Double check before you put it together. You want the sides to overlap and match up, and it does. So I know that I'm putting it on right. I'm going to put some liquid glue. Now remember, don't put too much that it squirts out the edges. You don't want that. So Marilyn, I was saying that this is a fun little box to give those during Halloween. I know I have many friends that visit clinics often, and they make little treats for them. And this would be a fun little treat to make for the nurses that take care of your loved ones. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. And I don't want it to goop out. So very thin, you guys, but you do want it along those edges so they don't stick out. Ooh, saved. Line this up. There we go. Making sure it's flat along the top on both ends. And see how it meets up. Now you do want to hold it for a minute. I have glue on my hand, so I'm going to end up taking my rubber glue eraser to this. Okay. Flatten that down just a little bit because you don't want all that glue on your project. Okay. Let's get it off here too. It just takes a second. It does have to be a little tacky. It was just very little bit of glue. Okay, and it lined up on both sides. So that becomes his hair. Now we're going to put on his eyes and his nose. So do you remember that punch? Can you guess what I'm going to use that for? Being a little bit noisy. Just going to punch out a piece. I want it long enough but short enough. So I think that's going to be long enough but short enough. I'm going to grab a drink of water here. Hi, Janet. Oh, better late than never. That's my theory. Okay, this is going to be his nose. So I'm going to take, and I want to sponge on some of that color on his nose too. Let's just get that here and rub along the sides, just like this. But I was going through my punches that are current, and I didn't have any that I thought, the oval punch would have been okay, but it's got the larger one would have been best, I felt, and it's got the little decorative edge to it, and I didn't quite like that. So I am going to put his nose down and put his eyes. So as you can see, his eyes are going to cover a lot of that. So I know that that can go on. So we are going to estimate where his eyes are going to be and then his nose. So I'm guessing his nose is going to be about right there. And his eyes touching there. And I just realized I forgot to punch something. And we're going to have him looking one way. So I think his nose is going to go right in there. So just kind of remember where I said I was going to put that nose. She'd even put a little dimensional under the tip of his nose so it looked like it was sticking out if you wanted. We're going to do it right there. Okay, let's stick his eyeball on. Now, did you know when doing eyes, the closer together they are, the meaner the look, the farther apart you make them, the nicer they look. So like a witch you want to put completely together. You wouldn't have to do your eyes on your Frankenstein together. In fact, I think it's going to be okay because you're going to see in a minute. I need to get my 2 black circles. And we are going to have him looking straight ahead. So we're going to put them down just like that. Let's get that on. And towards the bottom in the middle. And so if you want him looking this way, you'd put both of them towards this edge a little bit. But since I want him looking kind of straight ahead, we're just putting him just like that. Okay, now the eyelids. The eyelids, I am going to add dimensionals on the back because I want them above like they are actual eyelids. Just stick a couple. Now, I know I've had people ask me, so I'm just going to answer it right here and now. Can I make the boxes and have the boxes standing and ready to decorate? I don't recommend doing it that way because you're working on a 3D surface. And it just seems better to be working on a flat surface when you are gluing things together, especially on a box where you know it's going to be handled quite a bit, right? Okay, we're going to put him, this one, tilted this way. Let's grab the other one and we're going to tilt it the other way. Let's get this up like this. Okay, so we have that, but now we need to do his face. And like I said, I don't even know where my old black marker is, so I have an old journaling pen that I'm going to be using here for this. So I just want to do like a little squiggly line. And I just want to kind of go up, just give them kind of a funny look. And then I'm going to go down with these. Now, because this is such a thin line, I'm going to go over it again. And you could really do any kind of a mouth you want. You don't have to, do a mouth like this. Now, Frankenstein has stitches, right? So I'm going to give him some stitches. And here, I'm going to take the stitches and put them around to the side. Just like that. Okay, now, I forgot his ears and his bolts. I was going to use the candy corn for bolts, but we are going quite long here, so I'm going to not do that. I am going to take some tear-in tape and put it along the side that I'm going to flap last, and that is going to be the front. Remember I said you don't, whenever possible, you don't want those seams showing towards the front, like the end of the flap. You want the nice crisp fold along the front. Get this. I'm going to show you that you really don't need ears in the bolt on him. You could. My grandson told me, Grandma, why don't you go out to the Grandpa's toolbox and get some real bolts and put them in there, which would be really cute, wouldn't it? So if you have some old bolts laying around, just put a little hole in the side and attach it with a bolt and a nut. Okay, now I am going to take a dab of glue and attach it here and here to help hold that first flap down. Okay, so we're going to go just like this and like this. Now, make sure it's nice and square, and then I take my bone folder and I rub it. Okay, you want that adhesive to adhere, and it's that rubbing that gets it to adhere. So there is our Frankenstein little guy there. Isn't he cute? Could even do a little thing on his nose if we wanted. But let's get a handle for him. They do have little handles in there, but I just want a single handle. So I am going to cut down this piece of parakeet party that we used to a 1/2 inch. And if it's not long enough, we won't use it. Oh no, it's long enough. Okay, so I am just, for right now, I'm just going to take a dimensional on each side and attach it. I would probably normally take and punch a hole and use our black brads, the square brads, but we're just going to put this right in here, right up towards the top, and I'm going to put it towards the back. And you say, why aren't you putting it in the center? Well, because I'm going to put candy in there. And if I put it right in the center, it's going to make getting the candy out hard. So I put it towards the back. Okay, so we have our little tag yet that we want to attach. So I am just going to grab a bunch of the Orchid Away metallic ribbon, keeping with that shiny look. Tie it right here. Now, what I am going to do is, and this is a little trick, I don't like when my tags always slide down. So I decide where I want my tag, and I want my tag right here. So I punch a hole in the handle, and I go from the back up through. Oops. Let me get this up here and push it through the hole. I usually do that before I put the handle on. And this is a prime example of why you like to do things flat. Okay, and then we're going to pull that up. and tie it. So there, our tag's not going to slip down. If you wanted it in front of the candy, you could put it on this side, or you just put the hole on the other side. But I put it there already. We're going to just tie a bow. And how cute is that? So, fill it with candy, and there's your little Frankenstein little treat box. Hope you guys like it. Now, I promised you to show you this guy done with paper instead. And where did I put him? Put my projects to the side. So this is him out of paper instead. Okay, can you see the difference? I like this guy better, but that's my personal choice and preference. But you know, you can decorate these. You could decorate this, do it in orchid opulence, and do it like the Count Dracula. You could make it in ghost, any character at all. But this is actually kind of a character that I did, many years ago, using some different punches that we did in classes. We did different characters. We did scarecrows, Count Dracula, Frankenstein, a witch. We did a whole class of nothing but treat boxes. It was fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you, whether you came in late, watching on replay, or came from the beginning. I appreciate each and every one of you taking time out of your busy schedule to join me for a little time of crafting fun. So until we meet again, everybody, happy stamping!